Good afternoon, everyone. Happy Friday to everyone. I hope you've had a good week so far. Looking forward to the hour we have together. And how's everyone doing today? We're going to start off with, as we normally do, we're going to start off with our questions, and at the end, we will be having some puzzles to end the week with, and also we'll be having an announcement. There'll be an announcement at the end of the session today. And what we're trying to do is to make sure that these sessions are more relevant to the wide audience that we have. And so today we're going to start with our 4th and 5th grade classes. Our session today will have questions from 2nd, 3rd grade all the way to about Algebra 2. I'm going to also test some things that I've covered in the last week so that we can actually make sure that you haven't forgotten and you still understand. Thank you for joining, and let's go ahead and get started with our questions. The questions have been set up so that if you're maybe an elementary school viewer and you come in towards the middle of the session, you won't miss out on much. You would actually be able to answer questions that are relevant to you as well. Hello. Thank you for joining. All right, let's get started with 4th and 5th graders today. Usually I like to start with 2nd and 3rd graders, but today I'll give 4th and 5th graders the opportunity to start. And we're going to have some fraction. We're going to reduce the fraction 48 over 90 to the lowest form. Actually, I see that I have 2nd and 3rd graders, so let me give them some priority here. Let me give 2nd and 3rd graders a chance. So 2nd and 3rd graders, my regular 2nd and 3rd graders are here early, so I'll let them have a chance to answer their questions first. Sorry, 4th and 5th graders, you will be up next. So for 2nd and 3rd graders, Sarah has $187.28. She spent $102.67 to buy some clothes. Round the money she had and the money she spent to the nearest dollar. How much money is left with her? How much money does she have left? So here we're testing a few things. We're testing the ability to round numbers, especially when it has to do with currency or money. And then we're also testing your subtraction. So this should cover a lot of things that this will cover a lot of things that we have done over this week and then also some of last week. Okay, I will get to that question. I see there's a fraction question. So I actually have some fraction questions today that look like that. So that would give you a good opportunity. Give us a few minutes. So waiting for 2nd and 3rd graders to give us an answer so that we can solve the question and then move on to the next grade. Let's see, we'll give them about 30 more seconds, or maybe, let's be generous, maybe a minute. Let's do 1 more minute on this, and then we'll move on to the next question. Also remember that if you're not 2nd and 3rd grader, a 2nd or 3rd grader, and you have questions on other topics, feel free to post them, and then I'll try to walk through them. If it's not a topic I already have, I'll try to give you some priority over the other topics that I have. Okay, I have a response already. Let's wait for 2 more responses from our 2nd and 3rd grader so that we can move on. Okay, all right, let's go ahead and do this. So we have, thank you for the participation. we have $187.28. And we're trying to, the question says round the money she had to the nearest dollar and how much she spent. So we're going to round this to the nearest dollar and then $102.67. So what are we after? We're after this number right here because this is the ones position. This is the ones position. So what we're going to do is go ahead and look to the right. You can see that that number is less than 5. So we're going to end up with $187. Now we look here as well for $102.67. We look to the right and we can see that that number is more than 5. So that means that we're going to increase the number in the ones place by 1. So that's going to give us $103. Okay. The next thing we're looking at is how much money does she have left? How much money does she have left? So she had $187 and spent $103. So let's go ahead and subtract. So 0, 0 here. 7 minus 3, we have 4. 8 minus 0, we have 8. 1 minus 1, we have 0. So she has $84 left. And the reason why I can see it looks like every response is off by 1. I can tell you that the reason why is most likely this number right here. When you're converting to the nearest dollar, you're always focusing on the ones position. And don't forget that when you have the position that you're focused on, you look to the right to see the size of the number. If the number to the right is 5 or more, then you have to increase the number in that position. So good try though, just something to take note of. All right, 4th and 5th graders, we're going to reduce a fraction to its simplest form. We're reducing the fraction to its simplest form. Let's put 1 minute on the clock for you guys. We're going to reduce 48 divided by 90 to its simplest form. All right. If you have any questions, feel free to post them. I'll be glad to alter my schedule to the scheduled things that I've planned here, or I'll be glad to alter whatever I've prepared to accommodate what you need. So that's the most important thing here. Okay, I got one response. Let's see. Anybody else? Okay, let's do 30 more seconds. Or if I get one more response after this, then we can go ahead and start solving this. Okay, 24 over 45. Can you reduce that any further? Take a look at that and see if you can reduce that much further. Okay, okay. All right, let's go ahead and try this together. So we have 48 over 90. One of the things I may actually try to do next week is I'm going to test your rules of divisibility and see if you guys, and how you guys deal with those type of questions. So here, what I like to do is I like to see if this is an even number. So we can see that these two are even numbers, and therefore we can easily divide both of them by 2. So when you divide 48 by 2, let's do that right here. 48 divided by 2. We're going to divide 4 by 2. We have 2. 2 multiplied by 2, we have 4. That's a 0 here because we're subtracting. And then we bring down the 8. 8 divided by 2, we have 4. 4 multiplied by 2, we have 8. We subtract, we have 0. So this is going to give us 24. And then 90, let's go 90 divided by 2. So 9 divided by 2, we have 4 whole numbers. 4 multiplied by 2, we have 8. We subtract 8 from 9, we're left with 1. We bring down the 0 here, so that is 10. 10 divided by 2, we have 5. 5 multiplied by 2, we have 10. You subtract and you're left with 0. So now we have 24 over 45. Now the question you want to ask yourself is, can I divide these two numbers by the same number? Do they have a common factor? So here 2 is a factor. So do these two numbers have a common factor? If you know your rules of divisibility, you can see that 3 is a common factor here. So you can divide by 3 here. Divide also 45 by 3. 24 divided by 3 is 8. What about 45 divided by 3? 45 divided by 3. 4 divided by 3, we have 1. 1 multiplied by 3, we have 3. Subtract. 4 minus 3, we have 1. Bring down the 5 right here. 15 minus 3. 15 divided by 3, we have 5. 5 multiplied by 3, we have 15. We subtract and we're left with 0. So this is 8 over 15. So now when you get to this point, the question you want to ask yourself is, do I have a common factor? If I don't have a common factor, then this is your simplest term. So just so you can see, the factors of 8 are 2, 4, 8. The factors of 15 are 3, 5, 15. You can see there are no common factors, so this is your final result. Thank you for trying. Let's see, does anyone have any questions on this? Just take note that while we're working through this, if you have questions, feel free to ask, and I'll be sure to help you answer those questions. Now, 5th to 7th graders, we're looking at order of operations here. Order of operations. This should test quite a few of them, quite a few of your order of operations. Let's try for about 90 seconds on this one. We're looking at order of operations. If you have any questions about order of operations, you can ask. I'll be sure to try to answer them as we're working through this problem. Let's put this right here. We have PEMDAS. We have PEDMAS. We have GEMDAS. Like to respect what the different school systems like to do, because I know that for a lot of the school systems around us here in Texas, they don't actually all use the same thing, so I like to be sensitive to that. All right. Let's go ahead and see, does anyone have a response yet? Today there should be something for everyone. All right, I'm going to wait for 1 or 2 responses and then we'll go ahead and start. Okay, let's go ahead. I don't have a response, so let's go ahead and start. Maybe there's some difficulty here. All right, so let's look at the order of operations. We have PEMDAS, so this is P for parentheses, and then for GEMDAS, G is for grouping, so they mean the same thing. Then we have exponents. Okay, good try. Then we have multiplication, division, and then we have addition, subtraction. But the important thing to know here is that M and D are at the same level. And so you want to always start from left to right. So whichever one appears first from the left to right goes first. and the same for addition and subtraction. So the best way to write this is PEMDAS. So they're at the same level here, whichever one comes first starting from the left, and also here, whichever one comes first starting from the left. So let's go ahead and look at that in relationship to what we have here. Do we have parentheses? Yes, we have parentheses. So let's go ahead and figure out what that is. 34 plus 12, that is going to give us 46. So I like to write this 46 multiplied by 8 divided by 2 plus, now we have exponent, which is 2 to the power of 5. It means 2 multiplied by 2 multiplied by 2 multiplied by 2 multiplied by 2. If you work this out, you'll get 32. So you have 32. Now we have multiplication and division. So which one comes first? Multiplication and division have the same, they are the same level. So what you're going to do is you're going to look for the one that appears first on your left. So multiplication appears first. So let's go ahead and get that. 46 multiplied by 8. 6 multiplied by 8, we have 48. We have 8, and then we bring 4 up here. 4 multiplied by 8, we have 32 plus 4, we have 36. So now we're left with 368 divided by 2 plus 32. So 368 divided by 2, 368 divided by 2. 3 divided by 2, we have just one group of 2 in 3. So we have 1. 1 multiplied by 2, we have 2. We subtract, we're left with 1. We bring down the 6. 16 divided by 2, we have 8. 8 multiplied by 2, we have 16. Subtract, and then bring down the 8 here. This is 0. And then 8 divided by 2, we have 4. 4 multiplied by 2, we have 8. We subtract here, and we're left with 0. And so what you now have is, this is going to be 184 plus 32. So let's go ahead and figure what that is. 184 plus 32. 4 plus 2, we have 6. 8 plus 3, we have 11. So we write 1 here and bring 1 up here. And for lower grades, put a 0 out here, just so you have 3 digits on both rows. 1 plus 1, 2. 2 plus 0, we have 2. So this is going to give us 216. Good job. Looks like everyone got it right. If you want to check this out using your calculator, that is good, but I don't like to use the calculator because I want you to understand why we're doing what we're doing. And always remember that at some point, for those who are in high school, you're most likely going to be taking the SAT, ACT, or PSAT. There are some parts of the test where you're not allowed to use a calculator. So I always like to groom my students with the understanding that if you learn the math, then no matter where you are, you shouldn't have any difficulty. So let's go to the next one. I hope there are no questions, or if there are any questions, let me know, and then I can come back to it. Now we're going to go to converting decimals to standard notations. Converting decimals to standard notation. Now we did this last week, but I wanted to give us a chance to revisit it today, because I know sometimes with math it's easy to have knowledge loss if you haven't dealt with the topic continuously. So this is a chance for us to review this topic. So let's put about 90 seconds on the clock for this one. I think that should be enough time to go through this too. Always remember, if you have any questions, go ahead and ask. Don't feel shy. I'm sure there's a question you have that somebody else has. All right, let's see if there's some answers. Okay. Hello, hello, hello. All right. I think we've got enough time. So let's go ahead and try this one out. Okay. Okay. Thank you for that response. All right. For those who are not able to get to the answer, to the power of -2. Okay, let's go ahead and try this together. So the first thing you want to do is remember that when you are converting to a standard notation, you want it looking like this. You want it looking like you have a number right here multiplied by 10 to a different number here. Let's call this, let's put a question mark here. Let me put an A right here. And what you want to do is to make sure that you have the decimal between two numbers. So you can only have one number to the left of the decimal. That's the ideal position you want. So that is this position right here. That is the position you want. So now you ask yourself, this is the ideal position that I should be wanting. So, but where's my decimal? How do I get to my decimal from my ideal location? I go 1, 2. So from my desired position, which is 6.8204, but my decimal is after 2. So the question you're asking is, how many trips do I have to, how many hops do I have to make to get from where the decimal should be to where it is? And now you ask yourself, in what direction is that? Most of the time in math, if you're going towards the right, you're positive, and if you're going towards the left, you are negative. So now we have 6.8204 multiplied by 10. Now let's see, how many hops did we make? We made 1, 2. So we made 2 hops to get from where we really should be to where we are. So that is how you get your standard notation. Now let's look at this, the next one here, 0.000481. Now the question is, where should the decimal be? Remember, the decimal you can only have one number to the left hand side of the decimal. So that means our decimal is going to be between 4 and 8. Now the question we're going to ask now is, how many trips do we need to make from where we should be to where we are right now? So the decimal is here. The decimal should be between 4 and 8. So let's see how many trips we make. We make 1 trip here, 2, 3, 4 trips. And in what direction are we making that trip? To the left. So what we're going to have now is 4.81 multiplied by 10. And because we're going to the left, we have a negative exponent minus 4. We're making 4 trips to the left to get to where the decimal is from where it should be, or where we believe it should be. So this is the answer for that question. Any questions on this? Any questions on this? All right, let's go over to the next question. Okay, Algebra 1, Algebra 2. We have some polynomials here. So the roots, this is going to be equal to 0. What are the roots of the equation x cubed minus 4x squared minus 4x plus 16 equal to 0? What are the roots of the equation? This one shouldn't take you more than 60 seconds, really, for Algebra 1 and Algebra 2 students. The hint here is to remember that you can solve polynomials by grouping. Solving polynomials by grouping. Let's see, what are the values of x? That's what it means. What are the values of x that make this equation true? Okay, okay. Not a bad try. Okay, let's go ahead and try this. So we have x cubed, x to the third power, minus 4x to the second power, minus 4x plus 16 equal to 0. So I'm going to create my groups here. This is one group right here, and this is another group right here, because we're solving this by grouping. So therefore, let's factor each one of them. We have a common factor here is x squared, because you have x squared here, you have x to the third power. So you have a common factor of x squared. Then x to the third power divided by x squared, you have x minus 4x squared divided by x squared, you have minus 4. And then let's factor this out. What's the common factor here is negative 4. Negative 4x divided by negative 4, you have x. 16 divided by negative 4, you have minus 4 here. This is going to be equal to 0. Now we have our greatest common factor, which is x minus 4. It's our greatest common factor, and we're left with x squared minus 4 equal to 0. We have one more thing to look at. This is not in its perfect form. So what we're going to look at here is that a squared minus b squared, because this is what you call a difference of two squares. They're perfect squares. This is going to be a plus b multiplied by a minus b. So now you have x minus 4 multiplied by x plus 2 multiplied by x minus 2 equal to 0. So the rule that we're working with is when you have three numbers and their product is 0, any of those numbers could be equal to 0. So what we're going to do now is we're going to take turns making all of these expressions equal to 0. So x minus 4 equal to 0. So we add 4 to both sides. So x equal to 4. Now x plus 2 equal to 0. We subtract 2 from both sides. X equal to negative 2. And then x minus 2 equal to 0. We add 2 to both sides. So x equal to 2. So now your values of x are negative 2, positive 2, and then positive 4. So these are the values of x. Any questions on this? Or would you like me to do another one? We can do another one later if you have any questions on this as well. Okay, if there are no questions, let's go ahead to the next set of questions. So we're looking at measurements. We're converting from one form to another. So what is the sum of... Okay, I'll do another one towards the end, or right after this one. What is the sum of 6 feet, 4 yards, and 9 inches? Yeah, we'll do another one right after this. So what is the sum of 6 feet, 4 yards, and 9 inches? And we want the answer in inches. What is the sum of 6 feet, 4 yards, and 9 inches? We want the answer in inches. Take note that they are not all in the same unit, so you have to convert all of them to a common unit for you to be able to add them together. That's the first thing you want to try to do. So wait for a few responses here from our second, third, and fourth graders before we proceed to another example on polynomials by grouping, factoring polynomials by grouping. Okay. Let's wait for one more answer and then we can go ahead and solve this together. All right, let's try this. So we have a few things to take note of here. So 12 inches will give us 1 foot, and 3 feet will give us 1 yard. So now we have feet, yards, and inches. So what I'm going to do here is look at how many inches are there in 1 yard. So we have, if I have 12 inches in 1 foot and I have 3 feet in 1 yard, I'm just going to go ahead and multiply this together. So we have 36 inches in 1 yard. So what we're going to do now is look at each of these. How many yards are there? We have 4 yards. We want to convert them to inches. So 1 yard gives us 36 inches. So 4 yards will just be 36 multiplied by 4. So let's go ahead and try that here. 36 multiplied by 4. 6 multiplied by 4, we have 24. So I'm going to write 4 here and bring 2 up here. 3 multiplied by 4, we have 12. Plus 2, we have 14. So 36, 4 yards will give us 144 inches. Now we have 6 feet. We want to find out, actually we have 6 feet, so we want to find out how many inches, right? So what you know for sure is that we have 12 inches in 1 foot. So let's go ahead and use that. So 1 foot equal to 12 inches. 6 feet, we're just going to multiply 12 by 6, which is going to give us 72 inches. So now we have 6 feet in inches, 4 yards in inches, and we have 9 inches. So we're going to now add 144 inches, 72 inches, and then 9 inches. So let's put zeros to cover up the empty spaces. So now 4 plus 2, 6, plus 9, 15. So we're going to write 5 and bring 1 up here. 1 plus 4, 5, plus 7, 12, plus 0, we have 12. So we write 2 here and bring 1 up here. 1 plus 1, 2, plus 0, 2. So we have 225 inches. Okay, let's go ahead and try one more example for polynomials by grouping. All right, let me make one up right now. So we have x to the 3rd power minus 9x squared plus, actually, minus 16x squared minus plus 144. Let's see if this works. This is going to be 16x. Okay, let's see if this works. Okay, so we're going to create our groups again. So when you have a problem like this, when you have polynomials, try to see if you can create a group. Sometimes you cannot, but in this case, we're working on creating groups. So what we're going to do here is factor each of these parentheses here. So you can see here that your common factor here is going to be, your greatest common factor is going to be x squared. And then we're left with x minus 9. And then here, your greatest common factor, how can you tell? So let's look at 16x is going to be 2 to the power of 4 multiplied by x. 144 is going to be 2 to the power of 4 multiplied by 3 squared multiplied by x. If you need help getting this, we can probably table it for next week. But if you let me know, we can do some factor tree problems next week. So there's no x on 144. So let's get rid of that. So now we can see that the common factor here is 2 to the power of 4, which is 16. So we now have minus 16. When you get rid of this right here, you're left with x. And then because we're dividing by a negative number, we have this as a minus. 144 divided by 16. If I get rid of this, I'm left with 9. Minus 9. So this is equal to 0, equal to 0. So now our greatest common factor is x minus 9. So we have x minus 9 is our greatest common factor. And we now have the other, what's left over is x squared minus 16 equal to 0. So don't forget that a squared minus b squared equal to a plus b multiplied by a minus b. So now what you're going to do is you're going to replace this with its factors. So a squared, so you have, let me write this way, x minus 9 is the same as multiplied by x squared minus 4 squared equal to 0. So now that you can see it written in this form, you can easily apply this formula to it. So you have x minus 9, and then you have x plus 4, x minus 4 equal to 0. And now you can find all your factors. X minus 9 equal to 0, plus 9 plus 9, x equal to 9, x plus 4 equal to 0, minus 4, x equal to negative 4, and then x minus 4 equal to 0, plus 4, x equal to plus 4. So now your values of x are minus 4, plus 4, and then plus 9. Normally, you don't need to put the plus sign if it's a positive number. It's just a habit I have, but you don't have to. I hope that helps. If we need to, we can get one ready for, we can get some more questions like that ready for next week. Okay, so we now have some addition of fractions, addition and subtraction of fractions. So let's, fifth to 7th graders, this is your turn. Let's go ahead and give you some time to solve these questions. 5, 6, and 7. 5th graders, 6th graders, and 7th graders. It's for you. Okay. Okay, I see that there are two questions here. Let's call this question A and then make this B. So if you're trying to write your answers, you can have A and B in your answers to show which one you're solving. Always remember, when you're dealing with addition and subtraction of fractions, you have to have the same base, the same denominator. For you to be able to do anything to manipulate them, they always have to start from the same denominator. So that's a hint on how you should always proceed. When you're dealing with multiplication and division, that does not matter, but you always, for addition and subtraction, your denominators must always be the same. I'm reading through your questions. If you have any questions, let us know. Post them out here in the chat, and then I will take note of it. If it's something we can do today, we'll do it. Otherwise, I'll let you know if we have to move it to next week. All right, so I've got an answer already. Is that for the first one or the second one? 23 over 75, is that for the first or second? Okay, 5 over 12. Is that for the first or second? All right, I don't have any answers yet, so let's go ahead and try to solve them together. I want us to get to the puzzles today. Today's puzzles are kind of interesting. All right, so we're looking at the question A. So we have 7 over 8 minus 2 over 5. The first thing I'm going to look at is the denominator. I can see they're different. So I need to ask myself, what do I need to do to make sure that they are the same? So what I'm going to do now is find a common denominator. The easiest thing to do is just multiply 8 and 5. That's going to give me 40. So now 7 over 8, I need to convert it to a fraction with a denominator of 40. So what do I multiply 8 by to get to 40? I multiply 8 by 5. And because I multiply 8 by 5, I have to multiply 7 also by 5. 7 multiplied by 5 gives me 35. 8 multiplied by 5 gives me 40. What about 2/5? So let's look at 2/5. We need to also replace this fraction with a new fraction that has a denominator of 40. We call that the equivalent fraction. So we're going to multiply 5 by 8. So we also multiply 2 by 8. 2 multiplied by 8, I have 16. 5 multiplied by 8, I have 40. So now we're going to rewrite this fraction with its new fraction. We replace them. So this is going to be 35 over 40 minus 16 over 40. So this is going to give us a new fraction with a denominator of 40. 35 minus 16, 35 minus 16. 5 minus 6, we can't do it. So I'm going to go here. This becomes 2. The one I take from 3 becomes 10. I add it to 5. I have 15. 15 minus 6, I have 9. 2 minus 1, I have 1. So this is going to give me 19 over 40. So 19 over 40 is the response. Now, before you actually determine that this is your final answer, you have to ask yourself, do they have any common factors? 19 is a prime number, so I can already tell you that they have no common factors. Now let's look at the second one. 2 over 7 plus 3 over 5. So we're going to first rewrite this fraction so they have a common denominator. I'm going to just multiply 7 and 5 so I can get 35. So 2 over 7, I'm going to multiply 7 by 5 to get 35. So I multiply 2 by 5 as well. It's going to give me 10 over 35. And then for 3 over 5, I have 5 multiplied by 7, 3 multiplied by 7. This is going to give me 21 over 35. So this is now going to be 10 over 35 plus 21 over 35. So we have a common denominator of 35. Now we can add 10 and 21. 10 plus 21, we have 1, 3. So this is going to give us 31 over 35. So that is how you will do this. This method works for any kind of addition or subtraction problems when you have fractions. Any questions? All right. Let's try this one for 7th graders, 8th graders, Algebra 1 and Algebra 2. And we're going to solve a system of equations from word problems. We're going to create a system of equations from the word problems and solve the system. That's what this problem is. This is actually a common type of problem also for students in 12th grade, in high school, that are going to be taking the SAT or the ACT. This is very common, as well as the PSAT. This is the type of question I've seen quite a few times, so I'd like you to get very familiar with how to do them. This one requires some effort, so I will give you about 2 minutes. After this, we're going to go into our puzzles for the day. Can I do multiplying fractions? Okay, let's do this first, and then we'll do multiplying fractions. Okay. Let's see. Any other comments? All right. So let's see. The question is, Lara bought 8 pens and 7 packs of pencils at BTG stores for $26. Brian buys 10 pens and 12 packs of pencils for $39. How much does 1 pen and 1 pack of pencils cost at BTG? How much does 1 pencil and 1 pack of pens cost at that same store? Okay, let's try 1 more minute. Give a chance to the 7th and 8th graders, as well as most likely 9th and 10th graders here as well. High school students. Okay, no responses. Let's go ahead and try this together. So when we're dealing with algebra, we're just going to replace values we know with letters. So let's say that we have, let X represent pens, and then Y is going to represent pencils or pack of pencils. Okay, so we have 8 pens, so that's going to give us 8p, and we have 7, sorry, that's not, it's 8x. So 8 pens, and then 7 packs of pencils, 7y costs $26. And then in Brian's case, he has 10 pens and 12 packs of pencils. So let's go ahead and figure out what we want to eliminate. We can go ahead and eliminate x. Let's go ahead and eliminate x. So we're going to multiply this by -5 and multiply this by 4. Okay. And the reason what you're trying to do here actually is to find a way to make sure that the x values in both equations are the same, so that you can actually get rid of that value. So I'll show you what that means. So let's go ahead and multiply this by -5. That's going to give us -40x minus 35y equal to -130. Now we're going to multiply the bottom row, the bottom equation, by 4. So that's going to give us 40x plus 48y equal to 156. So now that you have this, if I add both fractions together, you notice that -40 plus 40 is going to give me 0. So now I can add both of them together. And now what do I get? This is going to give me 0 on this side. So 35 minus 35 plus 48 is going to give me plus 13y equal to -130 plus 156 is going to give me 26. So now I can divide both sides by 13, and then I have y equal to 2. Now we can actually use this value and substitute in any of the original equations that we have. Let's try this one here. So 8x plus 7 multiplied by 2 equal to 26. So we now simplify this. 8x plus 14 equal to 26. So let's go ahead and subtract 14 because we want to find out the value of x. 8x equal to 12. Now, since we're trying to isolate x, let's divide both sides by 8. Let's divide both sides by 8. And so we can cross this out. Let's simplify this. This is going to give us, you divide by 4, you have 2 here. Divide by 4, you have 3. So x is going to be 1.5 or 3 over 2, $2. So y is equal to $2 for sure. And then x is going to be equal to $1.50. Okay, we may not have enough time to go ahead and do the multiplication of fractions. So we may have to do that next week, and I have an announcement after we've done the puzzle, so you can see how we're trying to adjust things to kind of help to meet your needs. So what we're going to try to do, before we go into the quizzes, into the puzzles, what we're going to try to do from next week, we'll be having Mondays and Wednesdays, we'll have 2nd graders to 7th graders. And then Tuesdays and Thursdays, we will have topics for 8th graders to 12th graders, because I want to make sure, because I can see that sometimes we have more 2nd graders or 3rd graders than we have high school students, and they may not get the best out of the session. So we're trying to make sure that the sessions are tailored to the specific audience. And then on Fridays, we'll have everyone learning together. So I'll repeat, Mondays and Wednesdays, we're going to have 2nd graders all the way. Even 1st graders are invited. If the reason why I'm saying 2nd graders is, so far I don't have any record of a 1st grader. So elementary all the way to 7th grade is going to be Mondays and Wednesdays. And then from 8th grade to high school, we're going to have Tuesdays and Thursdays. And then everyone is going to be there for Friday. I think this way we can spend more time on questions that are tailored to those specific groups. Okay, let's go ahead and do some of our quizzes, our puzzles for the day. All right, what is the missing value here? Missing value. Let's put 30 more seconds on the clock. It's really not that big a deal. It's a pretty simple one. It's just manipulating stuff. Let's wait for some answers. Oh, good try, good try, good try. Okay, next, any more answers? We have 5 more minutes. And I want us to get through this to the second one. The second one is very interesting. Let's wait for one more response on this, and then we'll go to the next one. Close. 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 Good, 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 good. Okay, we have some responses. Let's go ahead and look at this. So 3 multiplied by 6 is 18. So you can notice that we just switch positions here. 5 multiplied by 5, we have 25. We're just switching positions. 6 multiplied by 8, we have 48. All we're doing is switching positions. And 5 multiplied by 8, we have 40. So all we're going to do is switch positions. So that's 0, 4. Good try, good try. All right, let's look at the last puzzle for today. Actually, yes, right here. So this is our puzzle for today. Someone said it's we have Facebook questions. Yeah, this actually I went to Facebook to get this one. It's pretty interesting. Pay attention to detail on this one. Pay attention to detail. All right, let's see. 30 more seconds. Let's see how many can get the answer or get an answer. This one is tricky, so pay attention to detail. Pay attention to detail. We're getting to that point. It's almost time for us to end. So I'll wait till for about 30 more seconds and then we'll go ahead and try it. All right. Okay, let's look at this one together. This one is tricky. So we have 3 flowers here, and 3 of them equal to, okay, good try. 3 of them equal to 24, so each of them is going to be 8. So let's see, we have a flower equal to 8. Now we have 2, I guess, teddy bears, and each of them, and then you have a flower here. So the flower is already 8, so you're left with 18. So let's call this, the bear is equal to 9. Now we have the bear, we have the flower, we have a bow. Okay, so this is going to be 9 right here. This is going to be 8. So this is, and we have 17. 21 minus 17, we have 4 left over. So let's call the bow equal to 4. All right, now here's the challenge with the last one. So here you can see there are 2 bows right here. So that's going to be 8 plus. Can you see that this teddy bear has a bow here, and here it has a bow and a flower? So we're going to add 8 to 9 plus, that's 8 plus 9, and then plus. Now we have the teddy bear without a bow. The bow costs 4 units, so we subtract 4 from 9, and that's going to be 5. So what we now have is 8 plus 17 multiplied, this is multiplication, multiplied by 5. So PEMDAS, we're going to focus on this first. 17 multiplied by 5, so we have 8 plus 85, which is going to give you 93. So this answer here is 93. I knew this was going to be tricky. There are a few things that you had to pay attention to. All right, thank you so much for this week. It's been a blessing to have you all learn with me. Stay safe. Have a good weekend. Don't forget to keep your hands washed. Keep your environment clean. And wash your hands as often as possible. Try to stay indoors as much as you can. If you don't have to be outdoors, stay indoors. It's just for your safety and the safety of those around you. And we keep praying for those, keep praying for those that are suffering, those that are struggling. Lots of families are having a hard time right now. Pray for those around you, and just stay focused on the goal. Thank you again for joining, and I look forward to learning with you next week. Have a blessed weekend. Don't forget, this video will be available after the session is over, and we're looking forward to you sending us comments. If there's some things you want us to do differently, or some things that you have questions about, feel free to send them. I will be glad to answer them as much as we can. Thank you and have a blessed weekend. God's blessings to you all. Bye for now.